All right.
being recorded locally and to the cloud. We've never had an issue with YouTube.
All right.
I just got a logo up on my top right-hand corner that says.
That's me, Paul. I know.
Okay.
That's belt and suspenders. That's me recording it directly to my computer, just in case. It is being recorded.
All right.
I'm going to try.
Call the August 25th meeting of the Public Works Committee to order just after 5 p.m. Welcome to another work from home version. To everyone who's joining from home, possibly on Turbo Bridge or watching on YouTube, we hope that you and your families are staying healthy and well. Will the Deputy Counsel please call the roll?
All right, Mr. Bruschi.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Cleary.
Here.
Fine.
Mr. Fine is here.
Mr. Peter is present. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Burley. Mr. Bergdorf.
Here.
And Mr. Reinhardt. All but Mr. Reinhardt are present.
Thank you very much. Our first order of business is approving the previous meeting's minutes.
Yes, it did.
Mr. Purley. All right, we got him, yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a motion on approving the previous meeting's minutes?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Peter.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bergdorf. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Hearing none, that carries unanimously. Our first order of business is going to be authorizing agreement with Ticketmaster regarding the computerized ticketing and distribution system for the Times Union Center.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Bob Belber. I'm the general manager of the Times Union Center. And it's nice to meet you all. I don't think I've had the pleasure of actually spending time on your Zoom meetings in the past, and I have not met some of you yet, so I'm sorry I haven't been able to do that. But based on what we're going through here together, it's understandable. This contract extension is basically extending the Ticketmaster contract that we currently have through December 31 of 2020. The reason for this is back in early 2020, there was a discussion between myself and folks in the county executive's office that related to our company, which had just gone through a major merger. All of the SMG buildings and the AEG facility buildings worldwide merged into one company that's called ASM Global. And as a result of that, there's now over 325 facilities on 5 continents. And at the same time, Ticketmaster has become more or less the only ticketing company that has the girth and the ability to service the arenas the way that they have to for the major concerts, and that can handle the volume that's necessary. And they merged with Live Nation. So the ability for us to use the leverage of ASM Global and our bigger company to negotiate an even better deal than what we currently have is something that I discussed with the county execs folks, our heads of our company, and even the president of our company and I just talked last week. He has assured me that their negotiations that are ongoing and that have been delayed a little bit because of the COVID issue should result, not even should, will result in a better deal for the county with a better split of revenues from service charge dollar amounts and so forth, to the degree where the income that will come in from this contract will be much better than it has been. But they can't get this negotiation done between now and September 22 of 2020, which is the expiration date of the current contract. So they've asked if we could get this extension to allow for the negotiations to continue and get completed. So that's why this is in front of you today.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the membership?
I'll make a motion.
Let's get Mr. Berger first, then we'll go to Mr. O'Brien.
Bob, how long is the extension for?
This extension only goes between September 23rd and December 31st of this year.
So
It's a short-
we'll have an opportunity to see whatever the final arrangement is based upon negotiations, should they be concluded by December 31st?
Yes, I will bring a summary of what those negotiated terms are to you, and I'll even provide a comparison of what the new deal versus the old deal was.
Phenomenal, thank you.
Mr. O'Brien,
I'll make a motion to move this.
I'd like to second that.
seconded by Mr. Reinhardt, so his hand first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I guess we're keeping you around for a second longer, Bob. Item number 3 is authorizing a lease agreement for the rental of corporate suite number 20 at the Times Union Center.
Right, so this is the one and only suite that we currently have open. And it's open as a result of General Electric not renewing their suite. We have 2 different lists. One list is suite holders that would like to move to a better suite location. Those are generally on the end of the arena that would be behind the curtain on an end stage concert. So those folks would like to get to a better location eventually. And since the GE suite is on the opposite end where it's on a good end of the arena, we had Blue Shield move over, and you've already approved that suite. They were in 20, they moved over to suite 9. Stanley Steamer, which is the new suite holder that would be taking over suite 20, is what we're trying to approve today. Stanley Steamer was first on the other list, which is the wait list. There's about 20 companies that are on the wait list. That has decreased a little bit because of the COVID situation, but they were first in line to be able to take a suite once it opened up. The term on this, though, this is a very important issue because they don't want to start a contract, can't blame them, with a date today if there's no shows until November, January, we're not sure. So we're asking for an approval to have this be a 3-year deal starting as of the first day that we have or the first day of a month that we would have a ticketed event. And so let's say we have January 15th is a ticketed event. Hopefully it's before that, but let's say it's January 15th. The start date would be on January 1 and would extend for a 3-year period thereafter.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Peter,
just a quick question. Bob, just to confirm on that, it doesn't matter if that, like whatever that show is or how much of a limitation is on that show, as long as it's ticketed, it would start then? Is that accurate?
That's accurate, and I'm glad you brought that up because we've got a number of different social seating distance models that we have produced and provided to the state. We would love to be able to still host some events. We've got events that are on the schedule in November, especially Siena basketball, which with a social distance model, 6 feet between each group of people going to Siena games, there's about 3,600 seats that would be available between upper level and lower level. Albeit season ticket holders may be sitting in the upper level in seats that they would prefer not to be in. But we could social distance. Arena Cross would be willing to come in and still put the event on with social distance seating. All of the sanitation requirements would be met, protocols to make sure people stay apart while they're in the building, concession protection. There's a major venue shield plan that we've produced and submitted. Question is, will anyone be willing to take a chance and let us do that? So I think eventually we might be able to do that. We're hoping by November. Our forecast for year-end results financially are based on starting up in November, but it's just unknown right now.
Yeah, I have no issue with this as long as it's like they can't choose what level of opening starts it. As long as soon as the ticket event's allowed, I see no issue with that. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, Bob, how are we treating, if we're allowing Stanley Steamer to not pay rent until there are ticketed events, how are we treating our other suite holders?
So I'm glad you brought that up, Paul. That is a item of discussion that I have been in discussion with the county execs folks. I've given a recommendation that, and I think that all of the suite holders want this. I've suggested that we really need to have an amendment to the suite contracts that would allow for an extension of term on their current contracts that would be equal to the duration of the closure from, let's say, April 1st until the date on, or the first of the month that we would host our first ticketed event. So very much similar to what we're talking about here with the start of that lease agreement or suite agreement. I think we need an amendment. I think it's the right thing to do to let the suite holders know that we understand it's not right for us to accept money for use of a suite that they're not using.
Are they paying us now?
Some are paying now, Paul, and some have held off and will commence once the use of the suite is used again. We're keeping track of each and every suite holder and their account. But a good number of them have paid and are looking for a credit for the amount of term that they weren't able to use their suite. And I think from a right and wrong, that's the right thing to do, in my opinion. Very similarly, we've got advertising contracts here. As you walk through the arena, you probably see a lot of different signs that we've got, both digital as well as backlit signs and so forth. And there's a fair amount of revenue that comes in annually from that. Well, some of those also have paid, and there hasn't been anybody in the building to see that exposure. We have been mitigating that, Gary Holly and myself, and we've extended to those advertisers that we're going to provide the same extension of term on their contract so that we make up for the benefits that they have not received during the closure.
So to a certain extent, by approving this, as it is structured now, we create a precedent by which we, unless there is an extension for the other, how many box holders?
There's a total of 26, so it would be 25 others.
25 box holders, we have a two-tiered system. Do you know when the county executive is ready to make a decision?
Well, the last that I spoke to George Penn, he mentioned to me that they were waiting on the county attorney's office to come up with a draft and a final decision on what, if any, amendment or credit would be made in the very near future.
Okay, I see Dave Riley on the screen. Dave, I hate to throw you under the bus here, but would have you folks taken a look at this, and do you have a recommendation?
So as Bob said, we have discussed it. I was in the room when it was brought up. As far as I know, it was brought to the county attorney's office. I don't know what the final recommendation was, so I'm sorry for that.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm going to support it because I think what's fair is fair. I don't think you could charge people for something that doesn't exist. So I will support it.
Mr. Chairman?
Let's get Mr. O'Brien and then Mr. Peter.
I'm just making a request to move this.
All right, we'll get that. Mr. Peter, do you want to add something? And Mr. Cleary after him.
To second Mr. O'Brien's motion, but.
Mr. Cleary, did you have a question or comment, or you just second the motion?
I had a comment.
Okay, Mr. Cleary, then we'll go to the motion.
Okay. Is there a need to do this now?
I need to approve this suite.
That's not going to happen until the arena opens up.
Well, I think, this is just my own opinion, I think that this gentleman from Stanley Steamer, which has been a good community partner, a good partner of the building for a number of years, is willing to take a suite that's not our best suite, located behind the stage. They have to get relocated whenever there's a concert with a backdrop. It's not as easy to fill those suites behind the stage as it is out in front, obviously. I think it would help us a great deal to have this suite leased and take this gentleman's offer. I can't see how it could hurt you in any way.
Well, just that it's going to set precedent for the other 25 suites is, that's the only thing. I mean, which I don't have a problem with that either, but that's the only reason I brought it up.
All right.
But I'm in favor.
All right, let's revisit Mr. O'Brien's motion. I had a second by Mr. Peter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. We have a unanimous decision there. Then I guess the last one is item number 4 is we're reviewing the previous income statements for the Times Union Center. Speaking of tough times and no events that are happening.
Yes, so I believe what you have in front of you is probably the ending July 31, 2020.
Yes, that is. Yes, that is the correct. July 31st. Yep. Okay.
So as you can see, through July 31st of 2020, we're showing a profit right now of $123,836. Much of that is because of the first 3 months of 2020. As we look forward and we do forecasts going forward, and first of all, I think I'd like to point out to everyone, just in case you are not aware of this, we furloughed 23 employees. All of us that are still remaining have taken major pay cuts. We've mitigated expenses for everything from electric to everything you can imagine that could be spent in this building. We've done mitigation on. By the end of the year, we will have saved over $1 million in mitigated cost reductions, and including payroll and so forth. But even with all of that mitigation, we're projecting a loss, assuming that we don't have any events through the whole rest of the year. And if we can't reopen in November, it could be around $1.1 million loss to the county. If we can open in November and host the socially distanced seated events, that could actually be reduced down to about 600,000 or so. We could save about 400,000 or 500,000 if we can get those events in. But that's the difference of where we are right now.
Great. Any questions or comments on what we have going on right now? Mr. Reinhardt.
So Bob, the number I see on the lower left of the first table, the loss of 220,000, that is just for the month of July?
It's for the month of July, but there's some updates that were done in the month of July to reclass some of the expenses, for lack of better words, from the prior months. And to reclass some of the income as well. So part of this that you're seeing, that bigger number of the loss, is a reclass on the suite revenue. And what we did with that is any of the payments that came in after April 1st, we've held on to those. We've reclassed them to go into income for 2021 as compared to income for 2020, assuming that you're going to have a credit that's going to be given or a extension of term to be able to allow those suite holders more time to pick up the benefits that they didn't have, and to take the loss during 2020. Now, part of the reason for that was in discussions with the county execs folks was to try to include the loss for the arena within 2020 as part of the overall COVID pandemic loss to the county, in hopes that there'll be some kind of federal funding that might come in that could help cover the county's losses during this horrible time, and have these losses be covered, or as much as possible of the losses be covered, in some kind of stimulus or subsidy coming back from the federal government. So that was one of the reasons why we did it. But more than that, it's knowing that if you are going to provide some kind of a credit or extension of term, that's going to impact 2021, and that's going to cause you to have 2 horrible years. And if we can show that loss as part of the county's loss to the federal government and get back some kind of subsidy. I'd rather, for the sake of the county, I'd rather be able to let you try to get that loss due to the COVID in 2020.
So let me just restate if I understand what you've said. So there's been some rental revenue that's come in that we are not recognizing in this loss number of 220,000, and that you explained that these are rents for time periods where basically nothing's happening, and we would be foregoing those rents actually in 2021 once we open up again. So
if we didn't
on to that money.
Correct. I'm sorry to interrupt you. If we didn't do what we're doing, where we're reclassing it to 2021 revenue, and if we took it in 2020, you would basically have a period of time in 2021, let's say it's 9 months, without any revenue coming in from rentals, because it would have been paid during 2020 where no benefits were provided.
Right. Okay. I think I understand. Thank you.
Yep.
Question from Mr. Ryan.
Quick question. This sort of goes back to the Ticketmaster thing. And I realize you have a long and positive relationship with Ticketmaster, and they're very robust. But do you see anything in the future for portability of ticket sales like there are on StubHub? Can people buy, sell, and trade tickets that they have at the TU Center on a venue like StubHub?
So I'm glad you brought that up. Ticketmaster actually has a secondary market for people who buy tickets for events that are here, actually for any Ticketmaster building, where people can actually resell their tickets on the secondary market. But it's actually Ticketmaster's platform. And
Okay.
so it's 100% guaranteed that seat location is a valid and good seat that's being resold.
Okay.
As compared to, and here is a major problem that we've dealt with for years, as compared to somebody buying a ticket and then giving that seat location to someone, to StubHub, to resell. We've had more times than I can tell you where people have bought the ticket on StubHub or another third-party platform. They've brought the ticket here, and they'll have a seat and a seat number, a row, a section number that doesn't even exist in our building. And so there's no guarantee if they sell it on anything other than Ticketmaster, there's no guarantee that the seat's valid or that somebody hasn't resold it perhaps more than one time. And then you'll end up with, and we have had this, 2 people for the same seat location. And since we are not the ones collecting the money, nor is Ticketmaster in that case, that causes a major problem for the consumer. And we've seen times where the consumer uses, and I don't want to just pick on StubHub, but it could be somebody like that platform, and they get to the building, the ticket's no good. Someone else bought it through Ticketmaster conventionally, and that seat is already taken, and that person is out hundreds of dollars because they bought it on a third-party platform that's not authorized. And then they have to buy another ticket. And if we have a sold out show, they can't even do that.
So, but what you are saying is there is a mechanism by which if I have 4 tickets to a sold out concert and 2 people cancel at the end, I can put them up on a Ticketmaster platform and sell them.
That's correct.
Good to know.
Ready,
That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
all right, we're right at about time. So there's no action to be taken here. So Bob, thank you very much for that. And if we have any more questions, we know where to reach you. We'll get your contact out to the team. So that concludes our meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. O'Brien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Thank you very much. We will see you all very shortly.
Great.
Take
Thank
care.
you.